Good morning, gang. Happy Thursday morning. Well, here we are. We're 5 days away from Trump taking office. We're getting close. It's almost over. All right. The Biden reign of terror has nearly come to an end. Speeches are something that politicians absolutely love to give. Okay. They love to tell you everything, how great they are, all these great ideas they have. And then, of course, you get their actions, and they never seem to correlate with the speeches, right? I mean, look at Barack Obama. No question. He was a wonderful orator, okay? He could make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. And then you looked at what he actually did from what he talked about in those speeches, and you're like, he was an utter freaking disaster. I mean, historically, we all know Obama will go down as the one who caused the, last 16 years of racial disparity, crime, inflation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, don't believe me, go look at your health insurance premiums, okay? But so yesterday we got Joe Biden's farewell speech. It was about 15 minutes long, thereabouts. Wasn't anything earth-shattering. It's like, I'm an idiot, I'm out the door. That would have been a lot simpler. But no, Joe came in and touted how he thinks his presidency was so wonderful, that he did such a good job, that he'd spent 50 years in Washington, and it all culminated with his presidency, and he still believes in everything he believed in from the first day he took office. If that's grifting, okay, Joe, we got it. If it's plagiarism, okay, Joe, we got it. If it's being an absolute failure, well, yeah, you did that, okay. But I got a kick out of listening to the speech, especially a couple of points. One of his quotes: "We need to get dark money. That's the hidden funding behind too many campaign contributions. We need to get it out of politics." Joe, may I remind you that just a week ago, you gave George Soros a medal for his contributions, basically monetary contributions, to the Democrat corruption machine. But we need to get dark money out. Yet you reward the guy who's the biggest proponent of dark money, okay? He said we need to enact an 18-year term for the strongest ethics reform for the Supreme Court. Gee, Joe, that wouldn't be political, would it? Are you afraid that you're down 6-3? 5-4 maybe, depending on which way you want to consider John Roberts, okay? And, chances are you're probably going to lose another one during the Trump presidency, or certainly be down 7-2 after the 2028 victor is another Republican. You wouldn't be thinking that, okay? This was one of my favorites. "We need to ban members of Congress from power, from trading stock while they're in the Congress." Joe, how many times has that bill been brought up to Congress by Republicans and never put to vote by Democrats? You don't want that. The people want that. The people want term limits for Congress. Nearly 70% of the country says congressmen and senators need to be term limited. Okay. And roughly the same amount, which I can't think, the ones that basically don't have any idea what it means, I'm thinking, want Congress forbidden from trading on the stock market. Because we all know, like Nancy Pelosi and many others, don't get me wrong, including Republicans, they are participating in insider trading, okay? Biden went on to say how great everything was, that they had the biggest economic rebound ever, while failing to mention that the rebound was after the worst pandemic in 100 years, okay? And that the cause was Joe shutting down the country, okay? This was it. If we go back and remember who was president when everything all of a sudden got shut down, it wasn't Donald Trump. It was Joe Biden, okay? This was it. We had the beginnings of the chaos under Trump, no question, okay? But the culmination of disaster was Joe taking credit for for fixing a problem he caused. No different than Joe coming out yesterday and saying how it was great that inflation was continuing to come down. Well, inflation actually went up month over month, higher in December than it was in November, and we still had, I think it was 2.9% inflation and 3.2 or 3.3% core CPI yesterday. So inflation was still running hotter than we need it to. Okay, 2% is healthy inflation. Yeah, you got that one wrong too. The funny thing is, Joe was talking about how America moved forward, how great everything was. And it was interesting last night on Jesse Waters, Dana Perino was talking about a poll that Gallup took, and they had 18 issues that they asked about. That, are you better now than you were 4 years ago? 18 different things to judge the Biden presidency. The only thing that the American public feels better about, the only one Joe was net positive on, was gay issues. That's it, okay? Not the economy, not crime, not foreign policy, not the border, not anything. Gay issues was the only thing that Americans felt better about yesterday than they did 4 years ago, okay? And there's a pretty simple reason why. Because 10 years after, we just want to get married. Now it's, we wanted equal rights. Now we want special rights. Now we want to be superior. And of course, all the DEI bullshit has allowed the LGBTQ XYZ YMJ PDR2L plus community to have special rights, to be raised above Joe average. We don't have equal rights. We have extraordinary rights. Oh, that's why we're happy. Guess what? In 5 days, that's out of here. Okay, good. All right. You want equal rights? You got them. You want to groom children? That ain't happening anymore. Guess what? All right, we're done. You want to be a man in a dress? That's fine. Don't expect you to get a job, and don't expect me to call you she. That's out of here. Okay. It's just funny because he was talking about all the things he's done. And I don't think Joe remembers whatsoever what he actually did. He's fine at reading speeches, as long as, just like Kamala Harris, as long as there's a teleprompter that's working in front of him, he sounds somewhat coherent. When he's got to think, use the teleprompter that's, in between his two ears, oh my God, forget it. Don't let Joe think. Couldn't have that. So yeah, we listened to Joe's farewell address, and my response to it is good riddance. Now, however, on both sides of the fence, this one is something to watch for next week. Next week, the 20th through the 24th, is the 55th meeting at Davos of the World Economic Forum. Trump will be president. And Trump will be participating, i.e. via Zoom call or something like that, and he will make a speech to the members of Davos, all the lovely oligarchs around the world who like to drink children's blood because it'll give them immortality. It's going to be interesting. This could really set the tone. It's not getting any talk in the media. Go figure. Okay. Not like the World Economic Forum is on most Americans' list of good guys. But Trump is going to speak with them. It's going to be interesting to see what he says. That's one speech I'm anxiously anticipating, because Trump has promised to be America first, and he's going to go talk to a room full of globalists, bunch of people who believe in climate change and electric vehicle mandates and Agenda 2030 and 15-minute cities and all this stuff that is completely contrary to what Trump has told us for the last 8 years. This will set the tone for his presidency completely. If Trump goes in and kowtows to Klaus Schwab and King Charles and all the other mental midgets that believe, John Kerry, all the people that believe in this crap, were effed. Hopefully, Trump gets on his Zoom call and basically gives them the bird and says, just to let you know, World Economic Forum, you have no power in the United States whatsoever. We are not enacting anything that you believe in. And completely crushes the organization. Because as I've said many times, globalism will succeed in the world if the U.S. falls into line. As long as the U.S. rejects globalism, it'll never happen. See, this is the thing. The rest of the world needs the United States. We don't. And again, you know me, I'm an isolationist. Okay. The rest of the world needs U.S. money. Europe can't function without U.S. money. Oh my God, we can't put 2% of our GDP into our own protection. Somebody else has to save us. The U.S. pulls out of Europe, and Europe's done. Okay. China needs the U.S. How does China need the U.S., you ask? If China stops selling their manufactured goods in the United States, China's economy completely collapses. The rest of the world cannot make up for the amount of crap that we buy from China. Okay, and don't even give me South America or Australia or Africa or anything like that. Gee, if the U.S. stops buying drugs, which hopefully Trump will stop, okay, with this damn policy, the border wall, and shoot on sight, hopefully. Well, gee, that is going to collapse a lot of the South American countries. Especially like Mexico, whose, number one export is insert drug name here. Yeah, the rest of the world needs the U.S. If Trump gives a speech that says, we ain't doing it, I don't care about BRICS. I don't care about anything else. Oh, but if we don't have the petrodollar, fine, we don't have the petrodollar. It will suffer for a bit. Okay, until the rest of the world starts coming to us going, help, help. And we'll be like, go fly a kite, right? It's about time that these politicians put their money where their mouth is. Trump was very good in the first iteration of presidency. Promises made, promises kept. He better remember that round two, because right now, American politics is at a tipping point. Does the country go completely globalist, socialist, communist? Or do we get back to make America great again and be the shining city on a hill that Ronald Reagan spoke about? Trump basically controls this. And his speech next week to the derelicts at Davos will be very telling. Just think, if we are a superpower again, and I'm not talking necessarily militarily, I'm talking about economically, where we hold the upper hand again, where we do things fairly. Again, you go back to China being welcomed into the first world in 1972 under Richard Nixon, and in 50 years they turned themselves from some poor third world country into a major superpower. How did China do that? Well, they took advantage of all the perks that they got being welcomed in to the world economy. They just didn't take any of the negatives that come along with it. They just ignored that. Hey, we can steal, we can cheat, we can spy, we can do all this sort of stuff, but can we help? No. Unless China's always operated on a China first policy. We'll find out in about 8 days maximum if we are actually going to be America first, or if it's just another speech that rang hollow in Americans' ears.